No, they didn't say that, but they're not happy. Anyway, wanted to let you know.
Nice to meet you. Innocent of all charges. Hello. Pleasure meeting you.
A jury of 12 angry men will decide that.
Ron Blagojevich, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I didn't do those things, by the way. I'm here to serve.
All right, well, the former Illinois governor joking about those corruption charges that he's facing, allegations of shady deal-making, arm twisting. Well, does it sound familiar? Well, it should. It sounds a lot like what folks are accusing Democrats of doing right now to pass health care. Now, what does Rod Blagojevich say about that? We thought we'd bring him here. The governor, now he's the big Apprentice star, Donald Trump, a very funny man in his own right, I might point out, here to assess all of this. So, Governor, I mean this with the greatest respect, so I want to get this out first. We are not saying that you committed any illegalities, just that you might be familiar with deal-making. That's it. That's it. So, having said that, how would you score or grade your party leaders on how they're trying to make deals on health care? That's it.
Well, I'm disappointed they squandered their opportunity. I told you before, they had their chance, I think, a year ago to pass a comprehensive health care reform bill with a public option. I know you guys here don't agree with that, but I do. I think that was significant, and something that would cover pre-existing medical conditions. I'm for health care for everybody, but I think the Obama administration and my fellow Democrats squandered that opportunity in that honeymoon period. And now what they're doing is they're watering the bill down. They're taking input from the insurance industry. They have a provision in there that requires people to get health care. They're going to charge you with a fine if you don't get it. At the same time, if you currently have a brain tumor and you can't afford health care because the insurance premiums are too high, you have to wait until 2014 to get that insurance coverage or pay something like $30,000 a year in premium.
All right, but the process to get to that, the president tells our Brett Baer he doesn't focus on, which might be his one. And I don't know as governor whether that was too, sausage making for you. Nevertheless, there's a lot of this kind of stuff that's tucked in there, and yet it's being ran down a lot of folks' throats, whether it be Republican or Democrat. I'm just saying, on that front, and a lot of people who feel strong-armed, are they being strong?
I think there's an air of desperation going on. There's a need to pass something so they can go back to the American people and say they had a success on health care. My fear is it's the counter of the Hippocratic Oath, which is first do no harm. And if you're going to pass a bill that doesn't have a public option in it, you're going to require people to get health insurance under a threat of a fine, but then they can't afford it if they're actually sick when they actually need it, then maybe they're better off going back to the drawing board and trying to break the bill down, take one item at a time, and then pass the bill that way. I think doing what they're doing now smells like just trying to pass a big, omnibus, comprehensive health care bill so they can go back to the voters in November and say they did something.
Well, Governor,
even if
what
it's
is
not as
the
good as it
difference
should be.
between something that smells and something that's illegal? And excuse my ignorance ahead of the fact, but if you have someone, a congressman comes in, and his brother is awarded a judgeship, there might be no quid pro quo, but it doesn't look bad. It smells. Is that something weird?
Look, I think what you just described is probably, it depends on the specific circumstances. The law is clear. You can't have an express quid pro quo. However, when it comes to, for example, fundraising for public action, but when it comes to public action for public action, I mean, that's how our government operates.
But that's the gist of what you're going to face when you go to trial, right? I mean, there was a clear quid pro quo, whether you were trying to exact favors to fill a Senate seat, Barack Obama's Senate seat, and or wanted something out of it. You've always argued no. We don't know in this case whether that was going on here. But if there is a quid pro quo, or if a judgeship is offered, or any one of the other rumored deals are in there, and there is, here's what I give you if you vote this way, maybe it doesn't have to be overtly said. Does that give you the heebie-jeebies?
Let me explain something. With regard to my case, there was an express quid pro quo with regard to what I was trying to do with the Senate seat, and it was this. I'll pick a senator, the Attorney General of Illinois, whose father's the Democratic House Speaker. He's blocking a public works bill. He's blocking expansion of health care, and he wants to raise taxes on people. If he doesn't block the jobs for people, health care for people, and doesn't push a tax increase, in exchange for that, with the help of Rahm Emanuel, Menendez, and Harry Reid and other Democrats, I was going to make her a senator. That's good government. That's what you're supposed to do if it serves the people. What you're not supposed to do is do it when it benefits you personally or in a political fundraising capacity. Having said that, what you're describing...
But it puts you in favor with the party as well.
Well, it gets results for people, 500,000 jobs for people.
But it gets results for you.
If you're doing a good job for people, let nature take its course.
I know, but you end up smelling like a rose, right?
Well, I mean, aren't you hired as the governor to try to smell like a rose doing good jobs for people? I mean,
Well, in the end, you didn't, though.
Well, in the end, I did, and I've been lied about, and I'll prove that in court. Having said that, let me tell you about how our country was started. We have our nation's capital in Washington, D.C., because Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson made a political deal. Jefferson brought Southern Democrats to support Hamilton's policy of assuming the state's debts from the federal government. In exchange for that, he brought on Federalist votes to put the nation's capital in Virginia and Washington, D.C. What you're describing is the way business has been done in the beginning, since the beginning. If the purposes are right...
You raise a good point, Governor, and that's where essentially Harry Reid and some of these others have been saying. I think Steny Hoyer was saying that most people really aren't interested in this process, that and I am just vastly trivializing when I paraphrase here, when I say that he said, the ends justify the means, in other words. And the president telling our own that, look, I don't get into process, but in the end, if this goes through, wonderful.
I believe health care is a fundamental right. I believe it's the golden rule. These guys who are senators and congressmen and presidents and governors give themselves health care. How come everybody else can't get that health care? Having said that, okay, the ends that they're proposing may not be so good. Again, requiring...
So you're a liberal who's ticked that it's not liberal enough.
Well, I don't consider myself so much that. I consider myself, you know, a guy who...
Well, now you're a big TV star. But...
Well, who doesn't do a very good job serving hamburgers, apparently.
You have much better hair than Donald Trump, I'll tell you that.
Donald Trump is the boss. He has the power to fire me when it comes to hair.
You're phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. You're phenomenal on that. You're really very good. But if you had to score this right now in the way they're doing it, they're botching it in that regard.
They missed the opportunity in the honeymoon period to do the real health care bill the way they should have.
Well, Governor, very, very good. I mean, we're going to watch you very, very closely. Making that fun. We do appreciate that.
Thanks, Neil.
All right, well, Howard Berg confirms that the president's student loan